Welcome back. As Nigeria battles Iceland in its second World Cup game in Russia, fans of both teams earlier gathered outside the fan zone in Volgograd with high expectation. A fan dressed as a prophet rang a bell and chanted a prayer, predicting a win for Nigeria. The bemused Iceland fans said they admired the show put up by their rivals, but shrugged off the prophet's prediction.
The Iceland you see today, you shall see no more. Nigeria 2, Iceland 0. You can see it. Nigeria, Argentina 2-1. Nigeria 2, Argentina 1.
We are going to win this match 2 goals against 1.
They are so much fun to watch. Fantastic. They're going to beat you. No. They're going to beat me? No. We are going to win.
No, there's no chance. Even though their dance is good, but they won't have a chance.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. Virtual reality is the creation of a virtual environment presented to the senses, which gives individuals an experience as real as they were really there. It uses a host of technologies to achieve this goal and is a technically complex feat that has to account to our perception and cognition. VR is an immersive type of reality technology and can convince the human brain that it's somewhere it's really not. Our guest today, Judith Okonkwo, founder of Mrs. 3D, tells us more about this. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
How is virtual reality achieved and how does it work?
So for virtual reality, one thing you'll notice across board is that there is a headset, a head-mounted display that the user wears. And this head-mounted display, or headset as it's frequently called, basically blocks out the physical world around you and limits the wearer to the experience that they can view via the headset. Now, the headset itself might come in a variety of types. There's a mobile device-driven headset, and you typically find this at the low-cost end of virtual reality, things like Google Cardboard. It's really a cardboard device that you put your mobile phone into if your mobile phone can run VR apps. It's got lenses and then, a case, if you will, that's made out of cardboard that you then wear. And then you run the VR app on your phone and you're able to view it in that headset. You then go on to other VR headsets that are similar but have the computing devices built into them, and these are called all-in-one virtual reality headsets. And then at the more high end, you've got tether devices where the VR headset is actually connected to a computer, and these provide the higher quality, but then also more expensive virtual reality experiences. And that VR experience, as you mentioned, is completely immersive, and it can be created in any number of ways. It can be created as a virtual 360, and that's 360 in the sense that, when you look up, down, left, right, or behind you, you will see things as if you were in that particular space. So it could be a 360 photograph or a 360 video, or it could be computer-generated content.
Now, you've talked about how virtual reality works, but tell us, why exactly do we even have the VR in the first place?
So like much of technology, virtual reality is here to help us solve problems. And if you look at the early use cases, this is a technology that's well over 50 years old. It was used by organizations like NASA and the United States Air Force for training. And you can imagine it would cost millions and millions to train, prospective pilots in fighter jets. But they could achieve this with virtual reality, the same thing for training astronauts. So really, that's where VR started. And if you look at more contemporary use cases, we see that being built upon. So you see a lot of use cases in medical training right now. You see a lot of use in architecture and real estate, in high-tech engineering, in mental health care, in education.
Well, Judith, I'm sure many would like to know the features of VR system. So please tell us some of the features.
A virtual reality headset, and I'll just show you one here. This is a headset called the Oculus Go. And this is the all-in-one type of device that I mentioned where you don't actually need to use a mobile phone or a computer. It has its computing device built in. So this is a type of VR headset that you can have. And, you know, there's the headset. You'll notice that there are lenses in there. And then, you know, it will have a sound output. So you put the headset on and you are then immersed in the environment. And when you have that headset on, if you look up, down, left, or right, you're basically looking around like you would if you were right where we are right now, for example. So I could have taken a 360 photograph of this room or a 360 video. And if you put this headset on, you could actually look around and have the same sort of experience that I would have.
Kwankwo, the founder of Emisi 3D, thanks for educating us.
My pleasure.
Nigeria is prepared to accept the return on loan of the celebrated Benin bronzes taken by British soldiers more than a century ago. This is seen as a compromise that could provide a template for the repatriation of other artworks looted during the colonial era.
62-year-old Eric Ogbemudia comes from a long line of gifted metal artists from the Kingdom of Benin in southern Nigeria. He learned the skill as a child, working in his father's studio. Ogbemudia now has his own workspace in Benin City, Edo State. But most of the works of his ancestors are thousands of miles away in museums across Europe and America, after they were seized by the British forces from the royal palace of the former kingdom in 1897, and are today at the center of a debate between Nigeria and Britain about where they should be housed in the future.
If really they are bringing it, at least they should exhibit it for people to see it, especially we, that our forefather did the job. So we should be very, like me, I will be very, very happy to see that, yeah, this is the handiwork of my forefathers, or my great-great-grandfathers.
The campaign for them to be returned to Nigeria echoes other long-running wrangles, such as the dispute between Britain and Greece over the Elgin marbles, and could provide a template that influences the way other disputes of this nature are handled. Campaigners say the artworks should be returned home, but the British Museum, where much of it is kept, has resisted those calls.
I think it's very important that we are straightforward and honest and transparent about the ways in which some of these objects have entered the collection. It's absolutely not the case that everything in the museum's African collections was plundered or looted, or whatever phrase you want to use, but obviously there are certain circumstances or certain events that happen and certain examples like the Benin bronzes where that material wouldn't have come into the collection in the same way today, and so it's right that we acknowledge and we're open and transparent about that. But it's really about us wanting to make the point that there continues to be a public benefit in people being able to come and experience these objects in this world collection.
Apart from Nigeria, other African countries and former British colonies have begun moves to reclaim artifacts and artworks taken from them. Recently, Ethiopia called for the permanent return of all artifacts plundered by British forces in 1868 and held by the Victoria and Albert Museum, rejecting the option of a loan.
And that's our program today. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.